Well, hello, all five people. How's everybody doing tonight? I figured we'll give it a couple more minutes for everybody to show up if they're interested. But first thing I need to say is a big shout out to my assistant, Indiana. If you ever stayed at Casa de Compai recently, you've had the opportunity to meet her. Probably one of the best business decisions I made in the last year and a half. We were at the Lancer this morning, arguing with the Lancer. You're not giving us the proper bandwidth that we're paying for. So we did that little fight for about a good hour and a half, and we got the bandwidth we needed to be able to upload this live video stream today. But yeah, thanks again, Indiana. I know you're watching. I appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do. Big shout out to you. But yeah, guys, a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on. Sosua Beach, yeah, it's changing. Is it changing for the better? Is it changing for the worse? We're gonna get into that. I got some good stuff to throw out there. But do me a favor. If you can hear me well, please type 1 in the chat bar. Let me know that you guys can hear me. Well, thank you, Mr. Fox. I appreciate that. Good. Because, you know, this is my first time doing it, so I'm cutting my teeth on this one. So I'm trying to make sure everything is working fine. But, yeah. You know, the one thing about Sosua Beach, it's everything to... It can be everything to everybody. You know, there's something good about Sosua Beach for all of us to enjoy. And anytime there's change, people get a little upset. I know I do. We all have an emotional vested interest in Sosua Beach. So when we hear the turmoil and everything going on, people get nervous. I think in the end, Sosua Beach is going to be better. So I think it's going to take a little time. I think like everything else with Sosua, it goes at its own pace. Not about us. It's about them, the people in charge. They really not too worried what we think or what we want, even though we do bring some stuff to the table. But I think, what time is it? It's a couple minutes. We got 3 minutes, so I'm just rambling for 3 minutes. I saw people waiting to start, so I figured I'll just come in and get in front of the camera a little bit. But guys, why did I do this YouTube channel? The reason I did this YouTube channel was to promote my business, Casa de Compai. The other thing was, there's not a lot of people out there putting out really good information. It's usually a certain topic of conversation, and I want to do something a little different than that. I want to broaden it to where just people who want to be an expat can come down, get some information, watch my channel, and hopefully take something out of it that will make their experience a little better. I don't claim to be Mr. Know-It-All. That's not my goal at all. I'm just relaying the information that was taught to me when I first came down, because I was really fortunate with the group of guys that brought me along when I came down as an investor 15 years ago. So I've seen the evolution of Sosua over the last 15 years. I've seen it as somebody who loves Sosua and also as an investor, and somebody who's taken their business from one condo to a condo complex. So I think that gives me a little bit of authority to say what I say. It gives me the experience to question some things that are said. So when it comes to everything that's going on, I like to go backwards to go forwards. That's why if you watch my videos, I like to give a little bit of history. What was it like 15 years ago, and how did we get to this point today? And that's really what this conversation is going to be about, because it's real important to understand where the old highway was. What is a setback on a highway? Why are the buildings right on the road in this country? There's a lot that goes into it that directly impacts what we're seeing in Playa Sosua. So the first thing that I put out 2 videos real quick yesterday. One of the questions that I raised out there was, yes, the people who own the casitas, they got paid, but what about the renters? I asked, did the renters get paid or compensated? And I heard yes, and I heard no. So basically, that sounds like a business transaction between the owner and the renter. So from what I was told, some did get paid, some didn't. I hope that the people who are working down there got compensated for losing their business. The other thing is, why did they knock down the ones that they did? Well, I have a couple good friends who've been on the beach a long time. So after the whole chaos kind of settled down, I reached out to one of them. I said, what the heck's going on? Why is it just because those three, or those 33 or 37? I'm still unsure of the exact number, which is irrelevant. But why did those get knocked down? And there was three things. And if you notice, most of them happened in Cheramacos. The first thing he said, John, the ones that were abandoned got knocked down. Makes perfect business sense. If you're trying to promote a certain image of a certain resort town, you can't have derelict properties on the best prime real estate. That is your anchor of tourism, is that beach. So they knocked the ones down that were abandoned, which is a beautiful move. The other ones who got knocked down were the ones who got paid out. It makes sense. I want out, pay me, knock my building down, it's yours. The other ones that got knocked down were the ones that were being used as warehouses. And I know a couple people said, John, Fast Freddy's got knocked down. Well, his storage container where he kept his beach chairs and stuff, yeah, that got knocked down. But guys, just to let you know, the people who asked me about Fast Freddy, he has a spot in the new plaza, so he's going nowhere. He's going from the beach to the plaza, so don't worry about that. And you notice the ones that were still standing are the ones that are predominantly the most successful. So I kind of call it like a culling of the herd. You know, the weak ones fall by the wayside. And that's pretty much what happened this round. Now, the thing that caught a lot of people off guard, they knew it was coming. We've been waiting for this day for a very long time, but they didn't know what day it was going to happen. And I raised another question. I said, well, if they didn't know it was going to happen today, what about everybody who has inventory in those businesses? Beer, chairs, tables. I mean, that's refrigerators. You just don't get rid of that stuff and real quick. So what I was told by numerous people is that when they came in on the beach and they went to knock those places down, they actually took everything out of value and put it out so that people could come back and get their stuff. Okay, if you're gonna knock it down, at least they did the right thing with everybody's personal property. But there's been a big contention between the beach administration and the government about these shacks. Everybody, it's old news. So do I understand why they didn't give heads up to the people on the beach? Because could you imagine the protest that would have been there? You see in the spur of the moment what happened. And everybody was saying they were shooting shotguns, they were shooting this. I don't believe they were shotguns from the people that I talked to. It was the tear gas canisters that got people injured, not birdshot. Definitely wasn't buckshot, thank God. But it wasn't birdshot. They popped off some tear gas to disperse the crowd because it's been contentious for a while. Now, I know I had a beach bar with my good friend Kenny Logan, and the biggest hindrance to us doing what we wanted to do was the beach administration. I blame the beach administration, and I'm going to catch some hell from Andreas for this, but it is what it is. If the beach administration would have said, listen, your property needs improvement, it's becoming derelict, you got to fix it up or we're going to take it down. They should have policed their own a lot better. The other thing they should have done is went to the city, Sosua, and said, hey man, we need backup power. We are the anchor of your tourist market. We need backup power for these businesses. The problem is in today's Google review world, everybody's a food critic. Everybody's is a critic on anything they want to be. So the minute somebody gets sick on that beach, guess what they do? They leave a review on Google. And in today's world, everybody Googles everything. I got a business. I know how people search for you. I know the reviews people leave. It's a tough business to maintain a certain standard. And when you don't have electricity, you cannot maintain a positive standard, especially when you're dealing with food. Food goes bad, and you can't expect poor people, when the food goes bad for them, to get rid of it. So I blame the administration, the Beach Association, for not getting backup power from the city. And it also goes into, if you don't have backup power to move the power pumps, you can't move water. You can't move water, you can't wash your hands, you can't flush toilets, you can't clean dishes right. So it's a health issue as well. I hate to say it, but my personal opinion is the casitas outlive their usefulness, and we need to move past that. But now that I went on that rant, and we got 42 people in the chat. Thank you everybody for showing up. What time is it? It's 8:05, so let's get into this, guys. What I want to start is to have a community, to be able to have things work correctly. You need rules and regulations and laws. We all know that as adults. But there's a certain thing that's very specific to highways. It's called setbacks. Now, when I did commercial properties back in the States, I've been doing real estate since I was 19. No, 20 is when I bought my first house. I did my first commercial property at 25. And the city, the state, the federal government all have what you can and can't do on their roads. And it's called a setback. Even though you own frontage up to that road, the governing authority, whether it's the city, state, or federal government, is going to say from the center of that road going into your property is a setback. You cannot use that. If we need to expand that road, we need to have that space free. If we need to go from a 2-lane road to a 4-lane road, if we want to put in different drainage, it's just, you got to be able to move forward and improve it. In the States, in Canada, Western Europe, we don't even think about it until you go before the planning and zoning board. Down here, they don't. So my perfect example of this is if you're taking the highway and you're come out of Puerto Plata and you're going to Santiago, and just past Imbert, before you get to the tunnel, you see all those fruit shacks that are lined up on the road. They're in the setback. The government doesn't enforce that like governments do in Canada, Western Europe, and the United States. So people will build a little business in that setback. I was told, and I can't prove this, so take this as a grain of salt, and I've been told this by a good friend of mine who's an attorney, that I always say his name wrong, so please forgive me, President Bolivar, the president after Trujillo, made a decree and said, listen, you can put a business in that setback, a family business. That's why you see them selling the fruit, selling all the guys doing the coconut water, all that stuff. You see them doing in that setback because he gave them permission. And with the understanding, when the governments need that setback, whatever you build is coming down. That's why there's fruit shacks going down the highway. They don't look good because they can come down at any minute. So who in their right mind is going to put money into a business that can be taken down? So what I want to do is I want to pull up, I'm going to pull this still up. Okay, guys, I'm going to go in picture in picture. All right. What we're looking at right here is an example of the old highway. This is from Encuentro, just before Cabarete. You're pretty much in Kite Beach here. And you can see how that red line is where the old highway was. Back in the day, they put the highways where the flatland was. That's where the beach is. It was the easiest place to do it. Very common. It's very common here. Another thing that, let me give you guys another example. Don't mind me moving my head around. What do we got here? Let's go to this still. This is one that exists today. This is Nagua. If I have to go to Santo Domingo to the airport, which I don't like to do, but instead of taking the highway, I take a little longer way and I go through Nagua. And one of the best parts about driving to Nagua is going along the beach. Beautiful view. This is an example of the old highway system that ran along the coast. It's common. And you can go, when you get past Nagua, you can actually see where there is some abandoned buildings on the ocean side that are not being used. Because what nobody takes in consideration, and this applies to all land in the Dominican Republic, I believe it's a 60-meter high water mark you're not supposed to build in. And back in the day, you could pay people off and get away with that, but things are changing in the DR. Things are getting much more stricter now. You're not able to do what we were able to do years ago. Yeah, me as well. You know, not that I was building anything in the 60-foot high water mark. I don't have that kind of money. But things have gotten more controlled. Things have gotten more stricter. Things have gotten more above the board. And what you're seeing is the clash of the old world with the new world, everything getting more in line. So how does that affect things today? Well, here's Sosua. Do you see where the old highway was? Guess where it runs? Right down the beach. So guess what? We talked about setbacks. We talked about the casitas that sell fruit on your way to Santiago. You have that. That is what you have on Sosua Beach. And they're also all in the 60-meter high water mark. They're all illegal. On top of that, they're all on private land. I'm surprised they lasted as long as they have. It's on the highway, on private land. So you can see, and if you ever come through Chiramecos, you can see where the church is. You can see where the path goes straight down, comes up, and goes down. Pedro Quilosante used to be the highway. Well, the highway you see now is a bypass. And you can also see this in front of Playa Bergantin as well. There's actually a Navy base there. It's a little barracks. I stumbled across upon it one time taking my dogs for a walk on the beach down there because it's desolate. I love going down there. And I was like, wow, there's a Navy base down here. So you have all these old roads. Encuentro, it used to be, before they changed Encuentro, you could walk all the way to Kite Beach on the old highway. So getting back to Sosua, what you see is, what you have is that old highway right there with all the casitas. So now the government came in and said, you know what? We want that land back. We're going to improve the land. We need that right away. And you're in front of the high water mark. So that's why nobody has titles. They're all there technically illegally. But what they did, which was brilliant, they formed a beach association to give them some political leverage. That's all it is. They all pay their association dues. They pay their fees. They get a voice. It worked for them. Now, the other questions people keep asking me is, John, how did the guys build those two huge two-story beach bars? Great question. It goes back to the issue of the setbacks. The government will let you build there, but when they need it, they'll come down. But I've had more than one person say, yeah, but they pulled permits. Absolutely. First off, Sosua's going to get your pound of flesh out of you, as they should. But also, if you're building something that's open to the public, the city of Sosua has an obligation to make sure it's safe, to make sure it's not going to fall down and hurt people. To make sure it's up to codes. And yes, guys, I built here. I built a condo complex. There are codes. There are inspections. You know, they're getting more stringent every year. It happens. It's not the wild, wild west like everybody wants it to be. It's past that. And you're seeing it in Sosua as it's moving forward. Sosua's changing. It's changing slowly and methodically, but it's still moving forward. So when these guys want to build these two stories, beach bars, the city has an obligation to make sure it's going to be built correctly. Now, people are like, well, they're not going to knock them down. Well, let me ask you this question. If they're knocking down all the Dominican businesses, do you think they're going to allow 2 gringo places to be standing? I can't see that happening. Who knows? We're still in the Dominican Republic. Maybe they can pull something out. I don't know. But I always say in the DR, I'll believe it when I see it. I've been coming down here 15 years. I bought my first property down here 15 years ago, and the first time I set foot on Sosua Beach, I had 2 old German guys go, don't get too used to it, they're going to knock it all down. That was 15 years ago, and it just started happening yesterday. So, take what you hear as a grain of salt. Believe it when you see it. Now everybody's saying, I started believing it when they started the new plazas, but the plazas ain't getting done very quick. They're taking their time getting them done. So I'll believe that when they're done. I'll believe it then. So that's why how Sosua Beach falls in line with the setbacks, the high water mark, and why they knock down the businesses that they knock down. For the people that just joined us, I'm going to back up a little bit. Some of the questions I asked in my last 2 videos was, did the renters get paid? And yes and no. I heard some did, I heard some didn't. So that was an individual thing between the owner and the renter. I heard more people got paid than didn't get paid. The other thing was, well, what about all the inventory that was in those businesses? What I was told that when they went to knock the business down, if there was anything of value, they put it outside so the owners could come back and pick it up. So the ones that got knocked down were the ones that were abandoned. The ones where they got paid out, they got knocked down, and the ones that were being used as the warehouse. So they were the 3 that got knocked down. And like I said earlier, it's a culling of the herd. You know, the ones that are underperforming had to go. So basically, it's the ones that are left standing, no pun intended, are the ones that are going to benefit from it. So that was that. But my thing that concerns me is, you know, how many of these had restrooms? You know, did we take care of the sewer lines? What about the electric power? So you have electric drops that are going from, obviously, the power lines to that unit. How was that taken care of? Didn't hear of any fires, didn't hear of anybody getting electrocuted, so hopefully they did it to, it was, so obviously they took care of it. So, yep, that was that. So, I'm looking at my notes, but when it comes to, so where do I think Sosua is going? I think Sosua is changing methodically. I think it's going to be more productive. Do I think it's going to be better? I hope, guys. I don't know. I'm looking at the comments, and let me address some of the comments real quick. Is Finger Place still up? I don't know. I don't know. I think he might be still up because I was looking at the video a couple times, and I think a couple of the ones around him got knocked down. I hope, because he's a hardworking guy. I hope he's still there. What is the plan for the future of Sosua? I can't answer that question. And the reason I can't answer that question is no gringo pretty much is involved in that conversation. They really don't care what we think, what we want. They're going to do what they want to do, and we have to accept it and move on. Is it to make Sosua, J-Flow, is it to make Sosua more family friendly? I hear that all the time. The last thing I would do is bring my children to Sosua for a vacation. There's so many other better places to go. Let's just be frank about this. You know, you got Disneyland. You got much better, all-inclusive hotels on the island and off the island. So there's so many other options. Not for Sosua. What I see Sosua doing is it's going the same way it's been going for the last 10 years. The underfunded retiree and the cheap whoremonger are getting pushed out. They just can't afford it. So, and we're becoming in my opinion, we're becoming more of a retirement community. The Canadians are driving the real estate market down here. And what you're seeing is what I believe is you're seeing the North Coast changing along those lines. And what I mean by that is, I don't want to upset people when I say this, but guys, the guys that come down here for a specific goal have a place. They're important, they're valuable. But then you got the Canadians who are driving the real estate market, even with their dollar losing value. They have so much profit in their properties when they sell them up in Canada, they can afford to take that hit on the exchange rate, and they're buying $400,000 villas like no tomorrow. That's what's really driving the economy down here, is all these gated communities doubling in size since COVID. So when you get that influx of that capital and the government recognizes it, that's what they're going to cater to, and that's what they're doing. That's why you're seeing them clean up Sosua Beach. That's why you're seeing them doing what they're doing on Pedro Calisante. They have to do it because nothing's private. Like I said earlier about all the everybody leaving reviews. Everybody has an opinion, and Google gives people an opportunity to have a place to put their opinion. Nothing's private anymore. Everything's out there. So you just Google Sosua and look what comes up, and there's just too much money on the table for that to be the first thing people see. You have too many businesses investing too much money. You have individuals investing too much money. That's what I think is driving the change. I personally think Sosua can be everything to everybody. May not how you want it defined or how I want it defined, but it has that opportunity. Sosua is unique, and that's why we all love Sosua, and that's why we all have that, like I said earlier, we all have that that emotional invested interest in this. So I think Sosua is going to keep continuing going the way it's going, and I think overall, I think it's going to be better down the road. But I think there's going to be hiccups along the way, and I think you're going to see a lot of places maybe not survive. If you have to, in my business, Casa de Compai, you have to throw a wide net. You can't just say, I'm going to market to this demographic and this age group or this nationality. I can't do it. I won't have the profit that I want to have if I do that. What I do is I just keep it simple. Give the best product you can at the best price, and give the best service when they're there. You're going to do the best you can. You're not going to get home run every time, but you at least try. And if you make a mistake, you do your best to make it right. But you can't pigeonhole yourself down here. So as Sosua changes, you're going to see businesses fall by the wayside. And the reason I brought that up is because out of the corner of my eye, I'm reading some of the comments that are popping up. Guys, I don't know. The question is, when are they expected to open the beach up? I heard in a couple days. Are they going to close the casinos and other places on Pedro or downtown? They've closed them in the past, guys, and they open them back up in a couple days, with the exception of Classicos. They're going to do whatever they want to do. The bottom line is, like I said earlier, we're just here along for the ride. We don't make decisions. We just live with them. What else? Thanks for chatting, Sean. No problem. What else do we have? The girls that work the strip do not invest money back in Sosua. Yeah. Well, I don't want to go that road. We're not talking about that. Pathfinder brought up a really good question. I posted 2 shorts a couple days ago. I'm on the beach at the end of the day. That's my happy hour, 3, 4. I get done working in the studio, doing what I'm doing here, and I go to the beach. I saw this group of 80 people walking off the beach, and I knew instantly that they were from the cruise ships. And this ties into what's going on in Sosua Beach. Great point, Pathfinder. There were excursions from the cruise ships. Cruise ships are driving the North Coast. I'm not a big fan of the cruise ships. I think the cruise ships, they're the ones who make all the money, and everybody else just gets crumbs. You know, I don't see the profit being spread around. You know, at least in Sosua, when people stay at my business, they're eating at restaurants, they're going to discos, they're doing excursions, they're doing other things that are injecting money into the local economy more. The excursions, they come in, the tour group makes their money, they bring them to Sosua Beach, then they leave. So, and everything is very well controlled. That's why it doesn't get spread around like it should. So I saw 80 people leave, and I said, wow, that was a pretty big tour group. And then I saw another one coming. So that's when I filmed the first short. And then there was a third short behind it. So what they're doing is they're bringing cruise passengers from the cruise terminals to Sosua Beach. If you go to Puerto Plata, they've done a great job at improving Puerto Plata. The beach is busy. I had to go there to renew my driver's license, so I'm getting lunch, and just cruise people coming into the restaurant, getting beach chairs. Place was packed. It was great to see. And then I walked down the Malecon, and I'm looking, and other places were just as busy. And then I went to the VA in Coast Bar, and on the beach was a spot redone, cordoned off just for the cruise ships. Sosua Beach is eventually going to be the same way. It's too nice of a beach not to go that way, and then I just videotaped it twice last week of it happening. So yeah, it's common. And if you look at, do I want to go there? All right, guys, here you go. If you look at what Sosua, downtown Sosua was years ago, you had these beautiful flumbaya trees. They're the ones with the red flowers on them. They're gorgeous. And they lined both sides of the street, and they formed a cover. It was a canopy. It was like you were walking in a little cave. It was great because you never were in the sun. Sosua used to be a walking street. But then they knocked them all down, and they put palm trees every 20 foot. And I said to a buddy of mine, I said, that's a stupid move. That makes absolutely no sense. Why would you destroy a beautiful street to put in palm trees? He goes, how many people on cruise ships know what a flumbaya tree is? I said, probably none. He goes, how many know what a palm tree is? I said, every one. He goes, there's your answer. The goal of Sosua, in my opinion, from what I've been told by my friends who've been here 20-some years, some of them even pushing 30, is that they're going to push Sosua towards the cruise ship passengers. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to be good for my business. I don't see how everything's going to change. But if you look, they're doing everything methodically, guys. They're cleaning up the beach. They're putting more restrictions down for the businesses downtown. They have a federal appointed pink area. Well, we all know what that is. Everything's in place, guys. The only thing they haven't done is implemented it yet. And when are they going to implement it? How's it going to affect? Things are going to be worse before they get better when they finally start doing this. So to everybody who's writing in the comments, what's going to open, what's going to close, guys, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. But here's what I want to really say to the people who love Sosua as much as I do. You should be able to determine and produce your own happiness down here. The reasons you came to Sosua are still here. It may not be in the same beach location you wanted to do, or the same bar, or in the same way it was done, because Sosua looks nothing like it did when I came here 15 years ago. Changed a lot. How the bars are set up, from the windows being put in, to the street being open, to the noise level, everything's different. But my fun here hasn't changed because I can control my fun. So guys, don't think it's roll up the sidewalks, it's done, it's over. It's not done and over. The more it changes, the more it stays the same. So I'm going to read more comments. I'm 2 years from retirement. We are talking Bucanas. I apologize if I said that wrong. I'm 2 years from retirement. I want to buy a condo down there. but I'm leaning to Cabarete now. In your opinion, which area would you choose between the two? Thanks, bro. Enjoy your content. Appreciate that. Thank you. All right, guys. Now we're talking real estate. Boy, I love real estate. First off, if you're in retirement, why are you buying anything? Why? Why don't you just keep the money in the bank, have the ability to pack your suitcase and go? Because we were just talking about, things change. I have clients who are retired, and if they tell me all the time, John, if it doesn't fit in my backpack, I don't need it. So if I was you, to answer your question, I wouldn't do either. Golden rule down here, it's easy to get into property, it's very hard to get out. So if you're gonna come down here in retirement and drop 100 grand, you better make sure you're in it for the long haul. I bought my first property down here when I was 40, and my intention was to do exactly what you did. And then the more I was down here, the more I wanted to be here, and then I just didn't want to leave. So I know I was buying property and holding. Same thing with Casa de Compai. You know, it provides me a great income, great, wonderful livelihood, but I'm in it for the long haul. You know, I still got another 20 years, 15 years before I even think about doing anything else. So if you're going to come down here, you're going to buy property, make sure you want to be there. Make sure you're in it for the long haul. Please don't get into the flipping stuff. If you try to come down here and flip, you're going to run into trouble. What does Jessica say? It should be about how you live your life, not about what others live like. Yeah, you know, like I said, you control your own destiny. You control your own happiness. Make it happen. What is it? Caesar Blue Hive? He writes, how much they paid the vendor to sell the store? Good question. Okay, so I've heard, I don't want to walk in, you know, my buddies, hey, how much you get paid out? It's none of my business. You know, there's certain questions I ask and certain questions I just won't ask. From what people have told me, depending on the quality of your business is how much you got paid out. You know, some guys were able to get a place in the plaza and that was your payout. At the end of the day, I don't know how much they got paid out. I heard people getting paid more and I heard people getting paid less. But again, like I said earlier, I'm not really asking that question because it's none of my business. I hope everybody makes a boatload. I hope everybody was happy with whatever they got paid out because, you know, everybody deserves good stuff. Let me go back. Like I said, J Flo, I really don't know what the plan of future of Sosua is. Guys, if you got a question, throw it up. Like I hope I was able to explain why they can knock the casitas down. Given the setbacks, they're in the high water mark, they're on private property. They want to clean it up because they can't provide backup power, sanitation. It's just they worn out their use. And there's some great places in there, you know. I mean, I'm a big fan of Manning. You know, Manning does a really good job. He's been there forever. You know, there's a lot of good people down there. And you know, it is sad to see it go. My only fear is, and I hope, man, if I want to be wrong, I want to be wrong on this. I really, really hope that they don't cut the trees down. If they cut the trees down, that will just change that beach to a way that I think it might be irreversible. That would just be a sin. That those trees make that beach. So I hope that doesn't happen. And the other thing, if you know those trees are holding back that earth that has a steep rise right there, they cut all those trees down. You get some of these rains we just had 2 months from now. That's going to move that earth, and it's all going to go in the ocean. So, you know, those trees are serving a purpose. But let me contradict myself as well. If you look at some old pictures of Sosua, that was all pasture land as well. So, take it both sides of that coin. But, But guys, I think I pounded this pooch enough. I think there's really not too much more I could say. You know, I'm not the guy that gets long-winded. If you ever watch my videos, I pretty much get my point made and get it over with. But I want to thank everybody for who took the time out of their day or night to watch my video. Guys, I appreciate people who subscribe, to watch. What I really like about the reaction on my videos is the comments. I get some fantastic comments. The thought that people put into my comments is more than I put into my videos. To be perfectly honest, I think I just said to I forget his handle. I know the guy. I see him all the time. David, good guy. I believe it's David. I said, dude, you're gonna start writing scripts for me. You know? But I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you want me to do a live video. If there's something you want me to talk about, if there's something you want me to address, ask me. If I have anything to say about it, if I think I can bring a good point across, I'll do it. But guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Remember, keep private personal and personal private. Compai's Expat channel, I try to be Sosua's voice of reason. You know, I don't want to be the sky's falling, guys, because the sky's not falling. Sosua is going to be here long after we are. Guys, peace out.